Welcome to the 10th video in this AutoCAD training series. In this video, we will cover section 1.2.5 in the written material. If you have not completed this section of the written material, please go do so now. This section covers the most commonly used 3D editing commands, most of which can be found on the solid editing toolbar. The first command is the union command. The union command joins separate objects together. So type U and I for union, or click on the two circles that are filled on the toolbar. Then select both objects and hit enter. Now both those objects are one object. However, that's great and all, but let's say that you actually wanted to take away part of an object. For instance, let's say that we wanted to have a hole running through this cylinder. Well, then we would want to use the subtract command. The subtract command can be accessed by typing SU, enter, or by clicking on the icon that has two circles, one of which is filled and one of which is empty on the toolbar. Now here's what's important with the subtract command. The first set of objects or single object that you select is the object that you want to keep part of. So in our case, we'll select this object, hit enter, and then select the cylinder. After you hit enter the first time, all the rest of the objects that you select, and you can have anywhere between 1 and infinity, all those objects will be subtracted regardless of whether that part of the object is intersecting or not. For instance, the cylinder is actually extending past our object. That doesn't matter. As soon as we hit enter, the whole cylinder disappears, but where it was intersecting the first set of objects, that section has been removed. So now we have a hole running through our object. Now, sometimes when you do this, you end up with multiple solids. For instance, say we have this box, and we had just subtracted like this. Well, you now have two objects. However, the objects are linked together as if they're one object, but they're actually two different objects. Sometimes that's fine, but a lot of times you're going to want those objects to be different individual objects. So if you just explode the objects, well, now they're no longer 3D solids. The command you want to use is called separate solids, and it can be accessed by clicking on this icon right here on the toolbar. All you have to do, select the 3D solids, and that's it. Just hit exit, exit. Now, the two solids are separate again. The fillet edge command works a lot like the fillet command for 2D, except that the fillet edge command rounds an edge instead of two intersecting lines. So you can either type fillet edge, Or you can select the fillet edge icon on the toolbar. Next, select the edges on the object that you want to round. Now, if like this, that the radius looks way too big, click Radius, and you can change it. Now, it's important that when you're using the fillet edge command that you only edit one object at a time. Now you can edit as many sides on that object as you wish, but it only works for one object at a time. When you have all your sides that you want selected, hit enter again, and now the sides are rounded. If you want to divide one object into two objects, but you don't want to subtract anything from that object, you will need to use the slice command. The slice command can only be accessed by typing SL and then enter. There is no toolbar shortcut for this icon. First thing you do is you select the object, hit enter, and then if you look down here at the command line, there are several different options. Sometimes one option will not work and you have to use another object. 3 points works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to select 1, 2, 3 points. This time it did not like it. If the 3-point selection does not work, the best thing to do may be to draw some extra geometry, such as a line, and then turn it into a plane. Just like that. Now if you use the slice command, SL, select the object we want to slice, then you have planar object or surface. Planar object. Alright, so that's not a planar object, must be a surface. Then it's very important for the slice command to pay attention to the command line, because now it's asking, do you want to keep both sides or just keep one side? If you only want to keep one side of the object, then you can click on that side of the object. Or in this case, like you can either hit B or click on both. So now you have two objects, and you can just delete the extra geometry. And there you go. Sometimes it's going to be easier to take a profile and just move it along a path instead of drawing a solid and then having to subtract a section out, adding more to it, etc. To do this, you use the sweep command, which can be accessed by typing sweep or clicking on the sweep icon right here on the toolbar. Once again, sweep requires a profile and then a path. So the first thing that you select is the profile. And the second, select the path, and voila. You now have a solid that has a cross-sectional area of the profile and runs along the path that you selected. You are now ready to complete exercise 1.2.3